asked my classmates for some questions about what they want to know about our disabilities, and they're all great questions. I'd like you guys to educate the world with it. So let's begin. Okay, so Adrira, I want to ask you, what are some of the challenges disabled people face in the world? In social aspects or the physical world?
I would say, I guess, in social aspects, sometimes there's being excluded in social environments and like not being involved, so then not feeling welcomed in social aspects or feeling alienated.
Yeah, do you have like an example of like feeling alienated?
I guess going to an event and then maybe nobody's talking to you or like sitting with you, that would be an example. If they don't ask me if I need help or like not speaking to me if I ask them a question or like feeling like I can't approach them. And the physical world, I would say like it not being very accessible, like to get around. That's creating a barrier because you can't get around without difficulty.
Okay, thank you for that. So now we're going to move on to the next questions. Okay, so maybe we can go to Laura. What was your experience with education like? And did you face any barriers?
For me, not really. But most of the able-bodied kids or students, they would usually not talk to you or not make conversation. Plus, I'm like a very shy person, so it's hard to like make connections with other people. For going around the school, I would need accessibility, so I need to find the closest elevator plus an accessible washroom, since in the stalls they are small.
Do you feel like accessible washrooms and like accessible water stations, are they more like further away from classes usually?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel that way too. At OCAD, I have class at the 6th floor. I had to go down to the 1st floor to fill my water bottle and get to the washroom, which is kind of unfair. Do you think it will be helpful for schools to have maybe a class about empathy and about disability or about others?
Yes, definitely. Because people, they need to like have boundaries and learn what we go through.
Okay, well, I know you just graduated from Seneca, so I just want to have a moment to congratulate you on that because that's a really big achievement.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next question from Red Panda. So, did you notice any difference? So, you have a invisible disability, right, Red Panda? Did you notice any difference in the way that people act around you between you and non-disabled people when they realize that you actually have a disability?
Yeah, I do, because I feel people like really crushing me and like when I do have a disability, even though they don't really show it. They sometimes do end up asking me or like giving me questioning looks because they don't believe me. When I say I'm in pain or whatever, they don't believe me because I don't have like, any mobility device to show that I'm disabled. So whenever I need a seat or something on the bus, even though I have the badge on, some people just like look away from me, and then they just try to ignore me and then they pretend they didn't see me so that they can continue on with the staying on the seat again. So that they don't have to offer it, because they can pretend that they don't see it. It's like I sometimes experience where like people realize I have a disability and then they would not apologize directly to me, but like to someone deciding, I guess, and not to me. That's like showing itself. I don't know why.
It's really common for people to not understand what disabled individuals go through, especially when you have an invisible disability.
It's also like very easy to deny that. But like I don't blame them. Don't assume that a person don't have a disability when if they tell you they have a disability, then you should believe them.
Thank you for that, Red Panda. We're going to move on to our next question, which is, where are your favorite places and why? Like, as a disabled person, I can assure there's limited numbers of places that we like to go to. I'd like Jaden to highlight that for us. Yeah, so where are your favorite places and why? And maybe you'd like to talk about how the transportation is too, like the accessibility for transportation.
One of my favorite places to go for accessibility reasons are the Toronto Zoo, because there's flat leveling and there's no elevator, so we don't have to struggle to reach different floors because everything is on one level. So that's one of my favorite places. And another place is some restaurants that accommodate wheelchairs are very spacious, and the waitresses are very helpful and patient with us because they know people with disabilities, it's kind of hard to maneuver in small spaces, and they like to pretty much accommodate you.
What about some transportation you like? Do you like about like the TTC or maybe like Wheeltrans or maybe some complaints or
Okay, so the comparison with TTC and Wheeltrans, sometimes with TTC, the ramps don't work, so you're left stranded for like 20 minutes, sometimes because the next bus is far away. Or if the elevators don't work at the subway stations, you have to find an alternative way to go to your destination, which can add a lot of travel time, which is very frustrating. And then versus Wheeltrans, it's very convenient, but also they have issues as well. Like sometimes they can come late and then you end up missing appointments and other things. And also the accommodation in the vehicle, such as wearing the seatbelt a certain way because of your mobility device. And sometimes when you ask the drivers to put it a different way, they like to kind of talk to you very aggressively or rude because you're trying to find the...
yeah, they're not like open-minded, right?
Yeah, they're not open-minded and they're not willing to help or even try to see if it can work that way before they say no, or you have to have it in the note. And sometimes it's very, not silly, but very...
Is it like
Anyway.
very frustrating maybe?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons to public like transit and Wheeltrans. In the summertime, I prefer the transit. But in wintertime or in cold, raining, I prefer to take Wheeltrans.
So, I will conclude with this. We, people with disabilities, are people too. We can have feelings, thoughts, relationships, achievement, and hardships. All aspects of life. For me, I would say that right now, as the world is continuing to build upon accessibility, we shouldn't stop at the physical aspects of the world. We should learn to have an open mind and be kind to one another. Have an accessible mind that is willing to trust, listen, and respect those with disabilities.